I'm back. Today you are going to learn how to avoid the trap of accidentally reinforcing the behaviors that you do not want. So let's establish some context. First of all, your dog is reinforced and rewarded by absolutely every scintilla of attention from you, whether it be your voice, if you're praising them, just talking to them, even if you're yelling at them, that can be seen as reinforcing or speaking to them in frustration. And the reason for that is because negative attention is attention. Any kind of touch that you give your dog, including pushing the dog away, can be reinforcing. A look, a glance, any eye contact can be reinforcing. So I'm going to share with you some common scenarios that'll explain this that I run into all of the time. So I have a list here I'm going to go over with you. So one example is if you're sitting at the computer or watching TV or whatever, and the dog puts her feet in your lap and you push them off of you. Well, remember, that can be interpreted as a form of petting or play. It definitely, if your dog wants your attention and you're busy doing something else and they put their feet in your lap, you're going to touch them, pet them, interact with them. That is reinforcing to the dog. So a better strategy is to give them a cutoff signal. A cutoff signal, think of it like giving a cold shoulder. Dogs do it to one another all the time. It's body language, communication. That means not now. I don't want to interact with you right now. And that simply means to, let's say your dog's coming from this side. You're going to turn your shoulder and you're going to look away from them. And you're not going to speak. You're not going to say anything. And I want to emphasize that. Human beings have a really hard time of not saying anything. So when you're giving a cutoff signal, you turn like this, you go like that, zip it, silence, say nothing, right? And then if that doesn't quite work, sometimes it doesn't work right away, they become more persistent. You can either outweight them, and because they'll give up eventually and get their feet off of your lap, or you can kind of elbow them away like that, gently, not roughly, but just kind of move them off. That if you give up and you touch them, this is not going to work. But that is really kind of like literally a cold shoulder. So that is a better strategy. If they come and they drop a ball in your lap, right, and you're on a Zoom call, well, and you need your dog out of your space, so you pick up the ball and you throw it. Well, what has the dog learned? Well, when they're really engaged in something important, like an important business meeting on a Zoom call, if I drop a ball in their lap, they're going to throw it for me, right? It's better to take the ball, put it in a drawer, put it out of the way, make a mental note that you're going to come back and throw the ball a few times after you're done with your computer work. The other thing is jumping up, this business of jumping up. It's very common for when dogs jump up for people to knee them, try to put their knee up. It's also common for people to look at them and tell them no or off or get down. Well, remember, when you look at your dog, it's reinforcing. They want attention. That is attention you are giving them. When you speak to your dog, even in frustration, that is reinforcing. And when you put your knee up, you are also engaging with the dog, which a dog can interpret as play, which is reinforcing. So the best thing to do when a dog jumps up on you is give them a cutoff signal. Turn away, don't say anything, be silent. All right? That usually works. Sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does. So that's a better strategy than looking at them and talking to them. All right. The next example I have is also really common, and that is if your dog is barking out the window and you stand back across the room and say, no bark, the dog hears, oh, I have reinforcements. My human is barking with me, right? Get up, go to the window, get between you and the dog, face the dog, and say, enough, enough, enough. Usually you have to repeat the command, but you see how calm my voice is? Your calm energy will help your dog's energy to calm down. And once they calm down a tiny little notch, then you move them away from the window. All right. The last example I have is a little different. It involves leash pulling. So what I see a lot of is the dogs will go to the end of the leash, and then people bring them back, have them sit, and give them a treat. And then they start walking again. And the dogs go to the end of the leash, people bring them back, have them sit, and give them a treat. Well, what's happening there is the whole sequence is being rewarded. Go to the end of the leash, come back, sit, get a treat. End of the leash, come back, sit, get a treat. And the reason for that is because of the timing of the reward. So that's an accidental reinforcement of the behavior that you don't want. So it's better to walk your dog, and as soon as the leash goes tight, put on the brakes. Stop moving. Don't even take 2 steps. As soon as that leash is tight, stop. And wait for them to step back towards you, which they will if you are patient enough. And when they do, then pat your leg, encourage them to come all the way back to you, say, good dog, and keep walking. If you are persistent and consistent with this, there's that consistency word again, they will learn that when the leash is tight, I'm not getting anywhere because my human stops. But if the leash is loose, I get to keep moving, right? I imagine that you saw yourself in at least one of those scenarios. Hopefully this inspires creativity in other areas in your life where you may be accidentally reinforcing what you do not want. All right? Tomorrow, we are going to do a little bit of training, so I will see you there.